All right, it's time to talk basketball. I'm Jose Salviati, editor at thepeachbasket.net. He's Steve Purciello, a longtime educator, vice principal, high school basketball coach, and athletic director. And this is the Shot Clock Pod, the best 15 minutes of NBA random thoughts online anywhere. If this is your first time listening, welcome. We're glad you found us. This podcast was born out of the content of Steve's 13 Rules Random NBA Thoughts articles, which he publishes weekly. Steve and I have exactly 15 minutes to discuss what's on his mind around the NBA. Today, we'll discuss his latest 13 Rules Random NBA Thoughts article, where he shares his thoughts after week 24 of the 2024-25 NBA season. Lots of good things to talk about today. Steve, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do this. All right. We're starting the clock. Let's start with Portland. It's been a rough year for Portland and the Trailblazers, but there's been a guy breaking out. I love these kind of stories, and I love when you call them out. Deni Avdija. Things have not run great. Blaze.
Uh-huh. But go ahead.
Oh, is it
I'll,
Avdija?
yeah, no, not D. There's D silent.
Apologies to Deni. Thank you for that. Deni
That's,
Avdija. And that goes to show you. And when I wrote this, I usually defer to you on guys in the East. This guy's in the West, and I'm not really familiar with his game. So it was exciting to hear. And I've seen his name come up, but obviously, clearly, didn't even know how to pronounce it. Apologies to Denny. Tough year for the Blazers. Great season for him. It might cost Chauncey Billups his job, the fact that the Blazers are not having a great season, but things are going really well for him. I'll
yeah.
let you do it. Tell us about
First of all, I would think Billups is going to be back, and I'm going to say why. They're a couple games out of the playoff play-in spot. I think he'll be back, and what'll happen is there'll be pressure. He's got to get in the playoffs next year. They've got some issues. And Deni Avdija was in 2020 draft, he was number 9 chosen. Now, in that draft, after he was chosen by the Washington Wizards, after that, a couple guys that have done fairly well. Halliburton was 12th, and Maxey was somewhere in the 20s. Washington's never had a great history of doing well in drafts. He played with Washington for the first couple of years until this year. And Washington, in the beginning, he had Beal and around him, so the ball didn't move that well. And then later, they got the guy, the shooter from Golden State, so the ball still didn't move. They dealt him this year, and he went to Portland. Now, Portland's got 2 good offensive guards, just Sharp and Simons. They're 2 pretty good guards. So the ball didn't always come. Simons had a little problem. He's been in and out, some injuries problems. But in the last 10 games, this guy just took off. Avia has been scoring over 26 a game in the last 10 games, and he's shooting over 42% from 3. Now, and by the way, he came into the league. He's an Israeli, by the way. There's not many Israeli NBA players, but he came into the league as a defensive guy. Now, Portland has a lot of guys who can score, but now you're getting somebody that might be able to defend as well, and he can play. He's definitely him and Kamara, the other forward they've been using. They're pretty good defenders. So suddenly you're starting to move towards the defense. Now, Simons and Sharp are not known for the defense. Neither is Scoot Henderson, the other guard. But suddenly they're starting to find some players. Before they played no defense. So this guy is a pretty good all-around player. And he's really good. I'd venture to say, I don't know, because his contract's high and he's been hurt a lot. I don't know if they can get anything, but Jeremy Grant might be on the market. This guy's ability to play. Avia has changed the way they look at it. And Portland has gotten better this year. For the first time, for a couple of years now with Billups, they've been on a flat line. But this year, I think they've won already in the 30 games. It's starting to look up, I guess, is what I'm saying. I don't think they're a championship team.
Outstanding. And that's always fun to see. I know Jeremy Grant, there was a lot of interest in him a couple seasons ago. So I think there might still be just based on that alone, but we'll see how things pan out for Avia in Portland. You also, go ahead.
He re-signed a contract that's pretty big. So that's why I don't know.
That's the tough part, right?
A couple years ago, it wasn't as big and he was sought after by everybody.
Yeah, it changes because you're not trading for a player as much as you're trading for that contract. And so that changes everything undeniably. We didn't plan to talk about this, but again, I love when you call out players and you called out the heart and soul of the Detroit Pistons. Just talk quickly about who that player is.
Malik Beasley, if you watch the Pistons, you like him. He comes off the bench. I think he should be the sixth man of the year. He has
Wow.
changed everything that goes on there. Everybody talks about Cunningham and Bickerstaff. Cunningham will probably make third team All NBA. Bickerstaff's getting a lot of recognition as the coach of the year. Nobody realizes about this guy. He shoots, and he shoots quite well from threes, well over 40%. He's averaging 16 points, I think about 27, 28 minutes a game. It's a lot of points. And he's shooting 9 threes, which surprises me because
Yeah.
he's getting open and teams aren't trying to take it away, and he's getting the threes, and he's making over 4, around 4 a game. So that's pretty good, and like I said, he's got a if you watch the Pistons play, there's an affinity from the fans to him, and he's energetic. He electrifies the crowd. So there's
Yeah.
so many things there that have worked well. Now the Pistons have a lot of other pieces that are working well, but he's something that the fan there's a real relationship there. And by the way, he'll be a free agent at the end of the year, which will be interesting if the Pistons give him pay him some money. He wants to stay there because he loves the whole energy, the crowd, and everything else. But it'll be very interesting thing when you watch the Pistons, he comes in, you could just feel, especially in Detroit, you can feel like, oh, he's
Right.
here, he's gonna score.
And he's the kind of guy that every championship team needs. And I'm not saying that the Pistons are a championship level team, but that's the kind of player you need on your team. So happy for Beasley, happy for the Pistons. Let's move on. You talked about OG Anunoby. We've talked about him a lot on this show. And you admitted to being wrong about him on the offensive side. He's helped carry the load with Brunson out, but he's now being touted as the defensive player of the year, at least a candidate. What do you think about that?
I think it's funny. Just it's everybody's got a short memory. Beginning of the year, a lot of people were eating him alive. They were just scoring on him. And like defensive player of the year, he has come a long way offensively. A year or two ago, he tripped over his own feet when he went to the basket. Now he can do things offensively, and he carried a lot of the load since Brunson's been out. It's going to be interesting to see how they come together. Brunson's supposed to play today, and it'll be interesting how
Oh,
if
nice.
they fit the pieces together. But for him to say that, if you look at Lou Dort, now that's my guy for defensive player of the year. He just locks every good player down that he goes against. And he's guarded for everywhere from the 1 to a 4. And he's only 6'4" or so. He's tough, he's physical, and he just defends every night. And by the way, if you think about it, Oklahoma City's got the top rated by far best defense in the league. The Knicks, on the other hand, I think is 13th.
I
So
had him at 16, I think. Yeah.
here's this guy making this claim on a team that's an average defensive team. You try to make sense of that one.
Don't
You
think it
know,
is.
I really can't. I guess the Lakers will be talking about Austin Reeves being defensive player of the year. I don't know what's coming next, but that's what you hear. But again, I give him kudos becoming a much better offensive player, and I was totally wrong on that.
Wow, outstanding. You take light because or take heart rather. Maybe DPOY is not in your future, but you got an apology from Steve Purciello. So that's something.
Just go ahead.
All right, let's move on. Talk about the Warriors a little bit. Draymond Green said a couple of months ago, maybe, that the Warriors would be champions this season. Everybody laughed, but Steph Curry's trying to prove his friend right, man. He's been playing phenomenal. What's been the difference in the Warriors recently?
Curry's acting like he's 25. Don't forget he's 37.
Yeah,
Um, all of a sudden, I guess with Jimmy Butler, everything's revitalized, and just Curry is just he's shooting real well. He had a 52-point game a week or so ago, and a 37-point game on another time. He's averaging 26, which is down from his best years, but he's not playing the minutes he played. And he's more prone to injury. He hurt himself a couple weeks ago with his back or hip or something. So it's not, but when he's in the game, he's back to being somebody that if you're rooting for the other team and he gets the ball, you say, "Oh God," because he'll light you up. And he's so elusive that it's very difficult to defend. The Butler trade, I don't like what Butler did to Miami, but the Butler trade has revitalized him and revitalized the team. Now they have a puncher's chance to go to the finals. And I
Mm,
don't, but they have a puncher's chance.
yeah.
And that's an interesting thing to see if they can do it. But I will say, I don't think anybody wants to play them more than anybody else. Oklahoma City, obviously. But outside of Oklahoma City, I don't think anybody wants to play Golden State in the West.
Yeah, the West is interesting. You and I have talked about it. I think if we add the Warriors to that list, I would add Denver Nuggets, right? The Denver Nuggets, the Oklahoma City Thunder, and the Golden State Warriors. It doesn't matter where you land, 1 through 8. Those are teams you don't want to play. You don't want to play early.
No, no. And when you start thinking about it, there's 6 legit teams, if not more, maybe 7 or 8. The Clippers are legit, Memphis could be a problem. But when you think about it, probably 6 of those teams, 7 of those teams belong going to a second round.
Isn't that
3
crazy?
of 3 of them won't. The West
Right.
is so loaded compared to the East that
Yeah.
it's such a big difference.
Perfect segue. We're going to finish with this. You predicted the West seedings, and it's such a tough prediction right now. 1.5 games separates the number 3 spot from the number 8 spot right now, which is just wild, right? Not a lot of games left, so it doesn't much matter, but it's so tight there at the bottom of the standings. But you predicted the Lakers finishing 3, Nuggets finishing 6, Warriors finishing 4, Wolves finishing 5, which would set up that matchup between those two teams. So Lakers, Nugs, Warriors, Wolves, what makes those interesting to you, and who do you think wins?
I look at the Lakers and Denver, and you had said that everybody out there doesn't want any part of that.
Yep.
That will be an interesting series because the matchups are fascinating. You have Jokic, and I don't know who's going to guard him.
Nobody.
There's the
Nobody.
Lakers.
That's the problem.
That's right. And so that makes a problem in the first place. But then you come back with that offense. If Luke is playing, and he just had a decent game the other night, if he's back to what he was, they're going to score a lot of points. And it gets really interesting. Like, what do you do? Can LeBron guard Jokic down the stretch for a couple of minutes?
Sure.
That's also, can LeBron play 40 minutes every night? There's a lot of like variables. And then, of course, and I look at Denver as a team on the down, meaning
Yeah.
won the championship 2 years ago, last year a little worse, this year getting a little worse. And if you follow the NBA, you realize as players age and making ridiculous money, they sit out more and more. Take a
Sure.
look at Murray's missed a bunch of games. He's had bad legs. He's had knee problems and all. Gordon has missed half the season. He's been out constantly. So they're getting hit with injuries as players age. And that's why probably they're getting worse. And here's an interesting thing, how much a player runs in the course of a game and how hard they run and soft they run. This is interesting. I'll ask you a little silly question. Who was clocked with the least amount percentage wise of running in the game, the least amount of running hard?
Across the entire NBA?
Yeah, I believe it's across the NBA. This is a fascinating thing.
It's got to be somebody older who's going to pick his spots. So yeah, and immediately my first thought, somebody like LeBron.
No, it's Jokic.
Really?
2.9% of the time does he run home.
Wow.
It's a fascinating stat when you think about it. And yet,
Wow.
this is the best player in the league. You know,
Wow.
you figure that out and try to understand that. That's interesting. And he's even starting to miss a few games now and then.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so you wonder if Denver's on the way down. And the other thing with Denver, they didn't spend money to pick up a bench. They don't have a bench. So when these guys go down, they're in trouble. They're in trouble. They've got a couple guys. Strother's a nice player off the bench, but they don't have much depth on that team. So Denver's got some real issues, I guess, be the best way to put it.
Who wins, Denver or Lakers?
My mind says the Lakers. My heart says Denver. I would think the Lakers, but I don't know. Again, if you tell me Murray's going to be healthy, not just if you
That
tell
changes
me,
things.
yeah, Gordon's going to be healthy, I might say Denver, but I don't know. And then you tell me about the other way and so on. And then who's going to guard Murray to the Lakers? That's an interesting thing. And then Luca, who's going to guard Luca
Yeah.
in series? So it's hard to even determine. I
Okay.
guess go in LA, but that's not
Toss
something,
up.
I play.
Toss up.
The
All
other
right. All
series,
right. Yeah.
the other series,
Warriors Wolves.
that's a good one. That's a real good one. You got Butler naturally and Anthony Edwards. And don't forget, Julius Randle usually plays well in the playoffs. So it gets, I don't know if he plays, he's decent, but he's an unknown factor. If he has a good series, Minnesota wins. If he doesn't, Golden State wins. I would think Golden State will be the big favorites. And I would think if you had, again, you pushed me, I'd say Golden State. But that's not to say that, again, Minnesota, they belong in the Final Four in the West.
Right.
And, or so does Golden State. But somebody
Yeah. No, that's tough. Did you ask something? Could you cut out there at the end?
about the, no, I didn't ask
Warriors
any.
Wolves. Okay. Okay. No, I just, okay. Again, you cut
Well,
out some of it.
let's turn it back now for a minute. What do you think?
I think it might be time to, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. I do not. But we talked a lot about the imbalance between the East and the West. But do you think maybe it's time just to pick the 16 best teams, regardless of conference? No? Doesn't that
That's
seem
it.
slightly more fair?
No, it goes in stretches. In a couple of years, the
That's true.
East will be on top, and
That's
then
true.
and somebody will be saying, "Why isn't the way?" It just goes around. And the other piece to it, I don't think the owners would want it. Let us just say the Knicks were playing Golden State in the playoffs. A lot of money and going back and forth.
True.
And it's tough on the players if they have to play every other. Think about if you get to the semifinals, the schedule is, and then you fly them back to New York. You
Yeah.
get it, and then you got to play, and you're not just it's just not worth it. And
I
so,
got you.
but who do you take? You avoided the question.
Yeah, I did. I think the best player in the world is playing against a team that has no big, literally no big. So how do you, there's no way the Nuggets beat the Lakers. Warriors and the Timberwolves, the Wolves are in decline inexplicably because this is a team that should be getting better. And the Warriors are getting better when they should be in decline, which is, again, inexplicable right now. So I would pick the Warriors and the Nuggets in those two,
Going back,
if they
going
come.
back, going back to the Lakers series. I'll ask you this: is the NBA a big man league or a guard league? No.
No, yeah, you know what? I think it's ever since Michael Jordan, it's been a 6'6" guys league, right?
Who's
Somebody who could play guard, who could play forward, those 3-and-D guys. That's the league. Jokic
who's
is
got
just he's
who's
just
got better
he's a one-off. He's a unicorn.
who's got better wings? The Lakers or Denver?
I think it's a toss-up.
Really?
Yeah. What do you think?
So Reeves, Luca against Murray and Porter. Offensively, who do you think has a better series?
The Lakers. But those are guards. I don't see those guys as wings. I was thinking of Rui Hachimura. I was thinking of Aaron Gordon. I was thinking about those guys. I think Denver might have a nod there.
Yeah, no question. Gordon's a much better player. And he does more things on the court than Rui does. But but I just think the offense that
You're
the
just a
Lakers
Lakers fan. You're a closet
I'm
Lakers fan, and we
so
appreciate it.
proud of those. How many titles did they have? So proud to see them win all those titles. And just thank you. If a guy like Kareem going way back didn't want to get traded to the Lakers, if all these great players, the Lakers don't draft them. They trade for 'em.
Yeah.
So, big deal. Everybody wants to go play in LA. So big deal. They still don't have the most titles.
Lakers fans, that's Steve Purciello, Purciello. Just
Yeah.
so it's clear who said what. All right,
Yeah.
that's it. Our time is up. You heard no buzzer go off because of my fault. I think we probably went a little over, but we always do anyway. So what we do. But thank you for listening. Make sure to read Steve's entire 13 Rules Around NBA Thoughts article. We'll link that below anywhere you are watching or hearing this to get more NBA random thoughts after week 24 of the 2024-25 NBA season. And join us next week as we share Steve's thoughts on the final full week of the NBA season. Crazy to think it's over and the playoffs are beginning. Please consider subscribing, liking, commenting. All that stuff matters, and we appreciate it very much. Join us next week again on the Shot Clock Pod, the best 15 minutes of NBA random thoughts online anywhere. Steve, thanks. We'll talk next week.